So if you somehow haven't heard, Apple has gone full tilt on themselves and decided to make a massive place for themselves, their workers, and more to call home. It's called Apple Park. And not only is it unique in terms of its shape, but is something that could be very big for the company. And it better be, because we know that its price tag is definitely huge. So allow us to show you an inside look at the $5 billion Apple Park. Be sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel. 8. What is Apple Park supposed to be? Given its $5 billion price tag and the fact that it looks like a spaceship crash-landed in a park, you would be understandably confused as to what the Apple Park is and what its true function begets. Believe it or not, it was an idea first broached by Steve Jobs himself back in 2006. The late founder and innovator of Apple had an idea for this to be the new headquarters for the company. And now, nearly 15 years later, Apple Park is built, and it is indeed the new headquarters for the fan-favorite tech company. The Apple Park sprawls across 175 acres of land in Cupertino, California, and is one of the most stunning campuses in the world, which is saying something when you really think about it. It took 8 long years of planning, proposals, and permit applications, but by 2014, construction was well underway, and as of 2017, it was done. And needless to say, Apple is very happy with the results. The massive ring-shaped building is now an iconic symbol of the Apple brand and is a fantastic testament to the company's dedication to effortless design, sustainability, and the future of technology. 7. The details of the building. The 175-acre campus will span 2.8 million square feet of office space. The main building will be made entirely of curved glass panels and have 4 floors of offices, with the top floor occupied by its executives. The entire building will run more than a mile around. Elevator buttons will resemble iPhone home buttons, because of course it will, and it houses 12,000 Apple employees. Again, it's meant to be the true headquarters of the brand. But it has some things that you might not expect. It is powered entirely by renewable energy, with 80% of its power coming from solar panels. That's way better than most companies in the world, and it shows the forward thinking of the company. Over 7,000 drought-tolerant trees were planted as well to help keep the area lush with vegetation. It has a 100,000 square foot fitness and wellness center that includes a 2-story yoga room. As if that wasn't enough, 2,000 bikes were made available for employees. Apple Park also has a visitor center, Apple Store, and cafe that are open to the public. Apple CEO Tim Cook built a Steve Jobs theater to house his keynotes. The theater sits on one of the highest points on the campus overlooking the meadows and main building. The theater also has leather seats that reportedly cost $14,000. Because when it comes to Apple, do you really skimp on the seating? No, you do not! 6. Why the ring? When you look at the Apple Park building, there's definitely one thing that really grabs your eyes first and foremost. It's the ring shape. It's very different than any other office building in the world, so why do it? A ring was not what Jobs had in mind when he first started talking about a new campus. Jonathan Ive thinks it was around 2004 when he and his boss first began discussing a reimagined headquarters. I think it was in Hyde Park, he says. When we used to go to London together, we'd spend a lot of time in these parks. We began talking about a campus where your primary sense was that you were in parkland, with many elements that were almost collegiate, where the connection between what was built and a parkland was immediate, no matter where you were. Years later, Norman Foster was brought in to try and conceptualize the space. Jobs had a certain vision of what he wanted, and yet it wasn't what was available at the time because of the land they bought. It was flat and asphalt, but Jobs wanted greenery and hills. He knew exactly what timber he wanted, but not just, I like oak or I like maple. He knew it had to be quarter cut. It had to be cut in the winter, ideally in January, to have the least amount of sap and sugar content. We were all sitting there, architects with gray hair, going, holy shit! 5. Pods. Steve Jobs was always way ahead of his time, but one of the things he really knew about was understanding workflow and how to make it be better. As a result, he didn't want a stagnant, typical office space where everything was one above the other. Rather, he wanted everything in pods. One pod for one kind of work, then you could go to another pod for the next, and on it went, in a nearly infinite loop, until the circle, metaphorically at the time, was closed. At first, we had no idea what Steve was actually talking about with these pods, but he had it all mapped out, a space where you could concentrate 1 minute and then bump into another group of people in the next. And how many restaurants should we have? One restaurant, a huge one, forcing everyone to get together. You have to be able to bump into each other. Think about how different that is from what is out there today. Usually, you have to go up or down to see someone in an office building, and you can maybe bump into others from another department. But with Apple Park, the point is to always be communicating, to be next to one another, and to help the process along. At first, though, the final product was a clover leaf, but after showing it to his son and getting a funny response that we won't repeat, they went back to a drawing board and the circle eventually came to be in 2010. Steve dug it right away, Foster says. 4. Cafe. We talked about why the cafe was a singular place, but just how big is it? The campus has 7 cafes, with the largest being a 3-level cafe for 3,000 sitting people. It has light-colored stone lining and glass railing with no metal support and is surrounded by extensive landscaping. The mezzanine space of 20,000 square feet can accommodate 600 people and 1,750 seats on terraces outside, with a capacity to serve 15,000 lunches a day, housed by specially designed 500 tables made of solid Spessart white oak, measuring 18 feet long and 4 feet wide. Sounds like a perfect place to eat and chat, don't you think? 3. R&D facility. But of course, what's an Apple building without some R&D departments, right? The research and development facilities feature 2 large 300,000 square feet buildings on the southern edge of the campus and are occupied by more than 2,000 people. The top floor of each building houses the department comprising industrial design and human interface teams, formerly headed by design chief Johnny Ive. 2. Inner courtyard. Now, if you notice, the ring is surrounding a massive piece of landscape. So what exactly is in that courtyard? The inner courtyard is 30 acres and lush with fruit trees alongside an artificial pond and a cafe. In the center, there is a rectangular field with several arches that resemble a rainbow when seen from a distance. This was part of Jobs' plan and why he wanted so much vegetation around the space, both outside and inside. He didn't just want people to go outside and see a city landscape of sorts. He wanted them to relax and enjoy the view. 1. Do people actually get work done here? After seeing all of this, you, like many others, might wonder whether anyone at Apple gets anything done in the Apple Park because it's so atypical in its shape, construction, etc. But yeah, they honestly do get a lot done. It may not be your typical HQ, but it does have its perks, and everyone on the inside is outfitted with various things that they need in order to get this done. And trust us, from everyone from the lowest person on the totem pole all the way to Tim Cook, they know that Apple Park is a bit of an out-there idea. Apple was basically begging to be looked at. But this is again why Steve Jobs was so special. He didn't care about how people perceived them. He just cared that his new headquarters would be game-changing, revolutionary, and break the paradigms of standard office working, which is honestly a philosophy that Jobs had his entire life in the tech industry. So yeah, it might not look like the best thing ever from our eyes, but if you ever get to experience it from the eyes of an Apple worker, your opinions might just change. So what did you think? What did you think of this look at the various aspects of Apple Park and how it all comes together to be Apple's mothership of a workplace? Which of its parts do you find the most interesting? Which ones do you think are a bit over the top? Let us know in the comments below. Be sure to subscribe, and we'll see you next time on the channel.